Melody Sheree has been treated on Love and Marriage Huntsville, especially by someone she considered a friend, Nell Fletcher. Now, before we dive in, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates, because what we're about to discuss is going to be really eye-opening. I want you to watch this video all the way to the end, because there are a lot of layers here and you are not going to want to miss a single point about how Nell is positioning herself and how Tisha struggled to even keep up with her in recent scenes. Everything I'm saying here is alleged, just my opinion, and falls under fair use commentary. So we're breaking it all down now. If we look at this scene with Nell and Tisha, it really stood out to me how completely in control Nell was. You have to remember, Tisha has been on the show since season 1, and she's experienced. She knows how these things work, yet in this scene, Nell came across as if she's been here since day 1. Nell had an energy that completely dominated the conversation, and it's not just about being loud or outspoken. She was strategic. She remembered details that Tisha tried to bring up, like the situation in Atlanta with Chris Fletcher and Marsa. Tisha tried to use that story to make a point, to perhaps create some doubt or drama, but Nell had every detail ready and completely neutralized it. It was almost like watching a masterclass on reality TV conversation control. What really struck me is how Nell's ability to recall everything gave her the upper hand. When Tisha brought up the Atlanta incident, thinking it would make Chris look shady or like he was hiding something, Nell calmly reminded her of the facts, of what really happened, and Tisha just couldn't handle it. It was like Nell was teaching a lesson in the middle of a heated scene, and honestly, it was kind of embarrassing to watch for Tisha. She walked in thinking she had a plan, something rehearsed to throw Nell off, but it completely backfired. Nell turned that moment into a showcase of her own skills. And it really made me wonder if she's been plotting a little in her mind to rise to a more central role on the show, especially now that Melody isn't present as much. Speaking of Melody, you can't forget that she has been and always will be the star of Love and Marriage Huntsville in my eyes. She has an enormous fan base that respects her and follows her journey. But with her taking steps back, Nell seems to have spotted an opportunity. She has a blended family, a lot of drama in her personal life, and she knows how to play scenes, even subtly, to her advantage. Watching her with the Scott's women, Destiny and Trisha, you can see she's building relationships, positioning herself, and basically learning how to control the room without even trying too hard. It's almost like she has a vision board in her head, and she's quietly moving towards it now. Let's break down that Nell and Tisha conversation again, because it's important. Tisha brought up her concerns about Marsa and Chris, trying to point out inconsistencies and perhaps stir the pot a little. But Nell didn't flinch. She calmly explained what really happened in Atlanta, who was involved, and why it wasn't a big deal. She even corrected Tisha when she got defensive, reminding her to take ownership without letting the argument spiral out of control. The confidence, the memory, and the strategy Nell displayed here is what makes her stand out. She didn't just defend herself. She completely neutralized Tisha's attempts at drama. And that, my friends, is what mastery on this show looks like. You also have to think about how Nell is managing the other cast members. She knows how to navigate the Scotts, women, Destiny, and Trisha, all of whom have their own personalities and storylines. Nell is patient, she listens, and she strategically decides when to engage and when to hold back. She's like a chess player, always thinking a few steps ahead. Tisha, on the other hand, even with her history on the show, got caught up in emotions and didn't come prepared to handle Nell's level of control. It really makes you appreciate the skill it takes to stay dominant on reality TV, especially when other cast members are used to taking the lead themselves. And let's talk about the scene's aftermath. Tisha literally walked away, unable to keep up with the pace and intelligence Nell brought to the conversation. That's not just dominance. It's respect earned through strategy and composure. Meanwhile, Nell seems to be quietly enjoying this, knowing that her positioning is working and that she is slowly moving herself into a role where she could potentially be a central figure if Melody were to step away completely. It's almost like she's producing her own version of the show in her mind, creating the drama, setting the pace, and controlling the narrative. I also want to bring up Destiny and Trisha, because they are key players in this dynamic. Destiny has always been someone who can stir things up, and Trisha is observant and cautious. Nell's ability to work with them, to handle their personalities without losing control, is really impressive. She knows when to push and when to hold back. And she's learning how to avoid the pitfalls that Melody once faced, like being ganged up on or targeted unfairly. Nell's strategy is clear. She aligns herself with allies. She chooses her moments and she makes sure that she comes out looking strong, composed, and intelligent. Another important point is how Nell handles sensitive topics like infidelity or marital rumors. Tisha tried to touch on Chris Fletcher's and Marsa's situations, hoping to create doubt or drama. But Nell knew exactly how to navigate this. She deflected, corrected, and redirected without ever losing composure. Shows a level of experience and understanding that you don't often see from someone who's only been on the show for a few seasons. It's almost like she's studying the cast, understanding their weaknesses, and using that knowledge to her advantage in real time. I can't stress enough how this scene highlights the difference between someone who produces drama in their head and someone who reacts to it. Tisha had her lines and her rehearsed talking points, but Nell was fluid, adaptable, and confident. She wasn't just responding. She was controlling the flow of the conversation, making Tisha react to her instead of the other way around. Watching this, you can see why some fans are starting to notice Nell's rise and her ability to dominate scenes without being loud or aggressive. She's calculated, composed, and incredibly strategic. Now, thinking about Nell's broader strategy, you can see that she's working to avoid the same mistakes that targeted Melody in past seasons. Melody often faced ganging up and constant conflict with other cast members. Nell, however, is selectively engaging, building alliances, and making sure that when she does confront someone, she's in complete control. It's like she's learned from watching what happened to Melody, and now she's using that knowledge to her advantage. You can see this especially when she interacts with Destiny and Trisha. She's calm, she's measured, and she's always thinking a few moves ahead. One of the most fascinating aspects of this dynamic is how Nell handles age differences and perceived or criticisms. Some people like to clown her for being older than Tisha or other cast members, but age didn't matter in that scene. Nell's intellect, memory, and confidence completely outshined Tisha. And it showed that dominance on this show isn't about age or history, it's about strategy, preparation, and control of the moment. Tisha learned this the hard way, and you can see it in her reactions